Welcome everyone to Jack's Watercolor. This is Jacqueline Jacks, and we're doing another tutorial for our monthly watercolor subscription. This one is going to be a really interesting kind of semi-loose floral. If you didn't catch the last video, I showed you how to do this technique, which is really fun to use in backgrounds and also foregrounds. And we went over the monthly watercolor subscription for August. I am so excited about this entire thing. I think it's been a year, and looking back at my little watercolor journal here, looking at old subscriptions, it has been so much fun and such a big adventure. If you don't have this journal, it is available on my website. Again, we did sell it in the beginning so that you guys could put your subscriptions in there. So if you were looking for a way to organize them, you might want to go and pick that up, or you can email me or leave a comment so that I can connect with you. You must be a subscriber to get it. If you haven't subscribed to the monthly watercolor subscription, you can get all these watercolors delivered to your door every single month just by going to jackswatercolor.com and signing up. I ship anywhere in the whole world, and shipping is free, including 20% off my website of all professional brand watercolors, papers, and brushes, and these incredible journals. So coming up, I'm going to be doing a celebration of our 1-year anniversary, and that's going to be daily journaling, which is really fun. And it kind of goes in part with a new watercolor class that I have just launched. It's in beta, and it is botanical journaling. For beginners to intermediate, it's just a daily check-in, and I thought that some of the journals from our store would be perfect for this. That one was the rawhide one. Then there's also this one that has just kind of like regular watercolor paper that's very good quality. I love it because I do a lot of ink and wash in this one, and it has a lot of pages. The one that's the rawhide little mini pocket journal, that has Fabriano 100% cotton paper in an accordion style. It is fabulous. It is beautiful journal to take anywhere with you, and so is this one. This one's a great one. It's a hardcover, really nice journal. I did not make this one, I made the other one. And finally, the larger format journal, which a lot of you have. I hand make these, I cover them myself, and they are filled with 100% cotton, 300 GSM 140 pound Fabriano paper, and it's gorgeous. It's hand torn and in the accordion style, so you get a lot of pages in there, and it is refillable. In any case, I hope you guys will enjoy this daily check-in. If you have not gone to the group page yet, use the link below to go to the group page and give me some suggestions as to what you want to see me paint, because if I'm going to paint every single day to celebrate this 1-year anniversary through September, you may as well see me paint things that you actually want to learn. So that is that. Anyway, I'm showing you pages from the upcoming course that is botanical journaling, and that is a really fun course so far. I will be adding new tutorials to that one coming up this month as well. So that's going to be exciting to get that on the road. They do take around 6 to 8 months to finish a class, and that's why I offered at a discount on beta. If you do want to get in at a discount, you can use the link in the description box below, and then you can sign in and get in early and just take some of the lessons that are already in there. So we already went over what's in this palette for this month, and I think it is a beautiful set of very unusual colors that are very rich in tone. So they go well for August and September, this time of year. I have a waterproof pen that we just restocked. So if you are looking for a double-sided ink pen that you can paint over immediately, that's a good one. It's over on the website. And my new subscribers are getting this red quill wash brush, which has a beautiful tip on it that you can pretty much use for anything. It's a great all-around brush. So I'm going to show you how to paint with it today, doing our sample. So in the subscription, you got paint, a tin, and also the brush, as well as the cards that you see on the table. And that little sample painting card is on watercolor paper, as well as just something to use for, design inspiration. So laying the tip down and moving from tip to end as I pick up the brush, that is going to establish part of my first petal. Now, depending on the shape you get, you can leave it like that, or you can actually do a second stroke or a second stroke of another color, which you're going to see me do. So again, just practicing that tip to end and just laying that down. Now you notice that there's two ways to do it. You could do it from the tip up or the tip down. So it depends on what you're comfortable with. I just practice different ways, and you'll probably see me do different ways as I move through without even knowing it, because it's just intuitive at this point. So then you can also subtract some color just by wiping your brush down and dipping it in water. You can start to peel back a little bit of the color if you want that variety, depending on what the color looks like after you first lay it down. So that's part of the artist in you, right? I mean, whatever you get when you touch the brush to the paper, then it's up to you to edit that. It's up to you to figure out what it is you want it to look like. And I just go intuitively. So now I'm going to add some of the yellow into the pink. And this is why I added this yellow to this palette. It's so warm and rich, and something that you probably don't have in your kit to begin with. And then I'm just kind of doubling up on those strokes and going right over part of the other stroke. Now, depending on what this looks like when you do it, you can alter this easily just by removing color or letting it dry. So part of transparent painting is the ability and the practice of removing color. Don't you love how that tip just goes in there and it can leave those little bits of white space, and it can just really give you that fine line as well. I love brushes like this because they hold a lot of paint, hold a lot of water, and I can do a lot with them without having to reload the brush constantly. To me, I think it's really easy. If you're having trouble with using something like that, it just takes time. So just give yourself some patience. So here I'm just showing you, I'm alternating with different variations of the color as I lay down some nice slow, kind of whimsical brush strokes for petals, and I'm doing lighter and darker layers as I go through, and then just kind of charging in some color so you see a little variety of it. Then if this is 100% cotton watercolor paper that comes in the kit, this is the new watercolor paper for Jack's Cotton. If you like it, then definitely go stock up, because they don't last forever. I have them made, and then we run out of them. So the last one was two-sided. This one has a hot press on one side and a texture on the other. So it's a nice like postcard style paper with the rounded edges. I really like it. I've enjoyed painting on it, and it's made by a company here in Quebec, which is pretty cool because made in Canada, and they do a really good job. But they do have issues from time to time because they have a lot of orders, and there aren't too many places that make paper here for sure. So you can see here I'm doing a pink stroke, and then I'm adding a little bit of that yellow to make that beautiful orange. So you see, as we're going through, we have several different things going on in the petals, right? We have color that I laid down on one stroke. I have color that I'm lifting out, and color that I'm charging in. And I'm using the pink and also using the yellow to go back and forth and get that like beautiful effect of the variety of colors. There is no rhyme or reason to it. I'm kind of just alternating, and I'm going with what looks and feels right to me. You can make your petals larger. You can fill your whole paper. The composition is entirely up to you. And if you are entering our challenge, don't forget, once you paint this, you could win a gift card to Jack's Watercolor. So if you're one of the monthly subscribers, then definitely paint this out several times and submit your best one over on the group page at Facebook. And then make sure when you post it to the wall or to the string, you use Jack's Art Challenge as the hashtag so that I will find it at the end. And congratulations to our last month's winners. You guys are awesome for the Budgie Challenge. You guys did such a great job, and I'm so proud of all of you. A lot of you have been with me since the beginning of this watercolor subscription, and I'm so pleased that you are, because I've gotten to see how you've changed and developed, and that has been so special and encouraging to me for sure, because As you know, we all hit those moments where you just get kind of uninspired and you need inspiration. So that energy's got to come from somewhere. To me, it comes from walks, my animals, and also from you. When I see how well you're doing and you send in your questions about things that you want to know more about, that charges me on and it inspires me in the watercolor subscriptions every month and also for my videos. So you'll notice that every once in a while, I dip the watercolor brush in some water and then I kind of tap it on the towel a little bit that's so I can kind of do a check-in with the amount of water, because I always feel like I can add more water, but I can't really subtract water well and keep the color vivid. Although these are high pigmented watercolors because they're handmade, I noticed that with some of the brushes, and this brush controls it pretty well, but maybe if you have like a Neptune by Princeton or an Escoda wash brush, it's got a lot of water and it's meant for a much larger piece of paper. So when you're working on a smaller piece of paper like this or a smaller flower, you want to kind of control the amount of water and paint, and that's why I'm keeping that towel there and just kind of wiping it off. Every time I wipe it off, I know that I can always add more, but at least I've got this, under control. So that's how I control the water and the paint. This brush is the flat angular brush that is available on the website. It's available in groups of 3. There are 2 sets, one with a very small brush and one with kind of like medium to larger brushes. I tend to use the medium to larger ones, but the small one I've been using a lot for removing little bits of color in all kinds of things in random sections of my paintings. These are great for removing color, but they're also very precise and they hold just enough water to keep that pigment load really strong. So you notice that when I put the pigment down using this brush, it is bright and bold, but at the same time, I can precisely remove color just where I want to. That's the only thing I've been able to get with this particular brush. I actually have brushes by every company and nothing works as well as this one. The only thing I've found that does work well is an angular shader by Princeton in the Aqua Elite line, but it doesn't last a long time and it's a lot more expensive than this brush. So I offer this on my website, and like I said, you get a pack of 3. These are great all around brushes, and you can add them to your monthly watercolor subscription with a code that I gave you at the sign up and get free shipping on it as well as 20% off. So great deal there. So right now I'm just taking the quill brush, which is a wash brush that has a little bit of a point on it, and I'm just blending through some areas and kind of adding a little bit more shape to the petal and a little bit more fullness as well as a little more watercolor, so just to make that side just a bit more dramatic. So you can see now I have this look of like the lighter going to the darker shades and then the mixes of that pink as it mixes with the yellow. Another really cool thing to do here would be to do a very transparent version of this with just like very transparent loose petals, then let it dry and then add layers and shadows on there just for something kind of I don't know, like a little more whimsical, not as heavy, but I wanted to do something that for this lesson and tutorial that was just a bit more shapely, so that you guys that are having trouble with your loose watercolor, I'm kind of like midway in between loose and a little more detailed. Plus, this is giving you some really nice lessons in glazing, which is that layering effect and also removing color. And I always try to put as many lessons into these things as I can. So right now I'm taking the blue and also the pink and mixing them together and starting to do the center of the flower just with a little bit of pointillism, just dots at the very end of a firm wash brush. This one I like again for this even because it has a really good concentration of pigment. And even though it holds a lot of water, you can see I don't have to really reload the brush that much. The reason why I'm wiping it off on the towel though is so that I can change up the weight of the color. So some of the colors are getting a little more light, and I'm able to blend on that corner and over on the top areas, going from light to dark now. So this is going to give us the feeling of depth, a little more dimensional in our painting, and it's just kind of bring a little more life to it, make it look a little less flat. Because if you've ever looked at anything in life, like literally look at anything in your room right now, if you really look at it, it's not one color, it's several colors. There's like several different shadow shades. There's several different light shades where light is hitting it in different directions. And that's the same thing with everything you try to paint. It's not just white, it's not just pink. It's many, many degrees and shades of them. It's like pixels, right? So many different shades. So I try to think of that in the concepts of laying down color. It's always about whether I'm going to block it, or I'm going to mix it on paper, or I'm going to do it in layers and glazes. So let's just add one more petal here in a really nice bright orange. This is a mix of the two colors together, and I just wanted to show you how nice it is just to layer a piece over. You could do your entire petaled flower like this if you wanted to, where you just start with lighter versions of the color and put the petals down, then let them dry, and then go over it just like I have here, so that you can play with those layers. The thing that makes this layer look really great is that light area below it on the petal. So the petal right underneath has a lighter shade and then the darker shade. If that lighter shade wasn't there peeking through, it wouldn't be such a dramatic effect. And I feel like it looks a lot more unique and interesting just by having the light versus that light right in that little area. Now you would think that that would be the darker spot and then the lighter would be next to it, but it just really works, and this is another one of those moments where it's up to the artist. So don't be afraid to experiment and, just play. Here I'm just kind of blending and removing a little bit of color, adding some in some areas, but let's really just start mixing the greens, because even this wash brush can do a really nice green stem, and just so easily. I really don't need to switch brushes when I have this brush, which I love, but I wanted to show you how to use a couple of the other brushes too as we're going along. So now I'm just gonna hold my brush at the very end, which gives me a little more flexibility and the ability to draw a very thin line, as well as kind of keep that stem loose but fluid. And what I'm doing is I'm lightly drawing these lines one at a time over each other so that I can get that appearance of lights and darks. This brush is not excessively wet, it's just damp, which gives us a little bit of a dry brush effect. And I'm trying to just keep the lines very, very loose and small. And so there will be some areas left where the white space will show through. And that's what I was aiming for. And that is our gorgeous flower. It's pretty cool, huh? I think it looks really good. So this is just one way of doing it. I would also love to see you guys experimenting with quite a few different ways. Now I'm going to take the waterproof ink pen and sign my name, just so that you can see that you can paint right over it. It's great. I love these waterproof liners, fine liners, especially with the ones with the dual heads, because it's got a little bit of a thicker head on the back and then the thinner head on the front. That to me is just heaven when it comes to fine liners. It's so convenient to have them. I have a bunch of them on my desk. They do dry out, especially if you use them a lot, but it's so worth it, because having that, ink that just can't be removed and can't be smeared with water is, to me, a very unusual thing in a pen, because most of them do smear, and unless you let them dry for a long time, and I just don't have the patience for that. As a special bonus on this one, we're going to do a background. So let's just start with something fun. I know you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I could never do this. Yes, you can. You can splatter paint anywhere you like. So once my flower's dry, I'm just basically taking some paint in a wet brush, flicking it, and then just rolling it around the paper. So having a little more than a damp brush is going to smear it ever so much more. I actually like this kind of a smear. It's so easy to do. And if you accidentally hit a petal, don't worry, you can always just take it off if you could see it at all. But I don't really know that this color is going to make a huge difference on top of these brights. This is such a pretty background color though, isn't it? And there's so many things you can do with this. I mean, this is just the start layer. You could keep going with it, but I just wanted to give you an idea for how easy and fun it can be to do a quick background for a postcard or a card, which this is a great postcard paper that I have just added to my website at Jack's Watercolor under the Jack's Cotton Watercolor paper section. So as more layers, I'm just flicking things, but now I'm going to show you a quick way just to hide an area of your paper. When you do want to add splatters, just throw a cloth or a piece of paper towel or another back of a page, or even keep some cardboard on hand if you want to recycle, and use that to cover areas of your painting that you don't want the paint to flick on. That is what I always tell myself, why did I do that? Because I'll get impatient and I'll flick everything everywhere, and then I'm like, oh, I like it, but I didn't need to do it that way. So I'm just kind of repositioning my towel so that I can do the top, and this time I'm gonna do another way of adding the splatters. So I'm actually tapping one brush on top of another for a little more scattered, lighter kind of effect. And now I don't really have a name for this way I'm doing this, but it's basically like you take one brush and you hit the top brush on it, allowing the brush bristles to hit the paper, and you end up with this really cool looking, like, mottled effect. I don't even know what it looks like. Let me know if you know what it looks like, because I know it's something that probably it's like a DIY wall paint kind of style, but I have no idea what it's called. I just do it a lot. I find that it's just a great way to get some quick texture onto the paintings. Okay, well, there we go. All I'm doing is just lightly smearing some of the watercolor around, just for that really nice textured effect. I left some light space next to the flower so that it can just kind of appear like it's got some light effects on there, but I really like how it turned out, and this one dry is going to be adorable to put some writing over and make it into a card. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you stuck around this far and you're going to enter the challenge, please let me know in the comment section. Especially comments always give me insights into whether you like the tutorial or not. Don't forget you can shop everything that you saw here at jackswatercolor.com. I am a one-woman owned business, so I appreciate you supporting me here and joining me for another tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any ideas for others in the future, leave me a comment below and let me know what you'd like to see me paint. Happy painting, guys. Bye.